The Godox V100 is the most powerful on-camera flash you can currently purchase from Godox. And I have two of them because I believe that these units are fantastic. Now, full disclaimer, Godox sent me this Nikon version to test and review, but before they did that, I had already purchased for myself this Sony version because my main professional kit is based on Sony gear. And I believe that this unit should be the professional choice. If you're starting your business as a professional, if you're refreshing your equipment, should be your first choice. For one reason, I decided to purchase this Sony version for myself because by getting this, I could sell two other units. I was rocking the V1 Pro, which is a 76 watts unit, and the AD100 Pro, which was my remote 100 watt unit that could not be mounted on camera. And I was doing that because I needed more power sometimes for my shooting on the outside. With this unit, you get a 100 watt unit that can do both. And with one unit, you can cover both your on-camera needs and the vast majority of your off-camera needs. Of course, if you want super powerful flashes, you need to purchase those only off-camera flashes like the AD200, the D300, the D400, the 600, and we can keep going on and on and on and on. But if shooting super powerful flashes is not your main thing, if you're using your flash mainly as your on-camera device, but also as off-camera, but when you don't need 600 watts out of power, this unit is gonna get you all the flexibility in the world, and it's going to get you all the power that you need to do your thing. So for professionals, this to me is the most important unit you can possibly purchase. It should be your main unit. That's basically what I'm saying. Now, having a more powerful unit gets you more flexibility. Being 100 watts compared to something like the V1 Mid, which we're going to talk about in another video, so stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share, because this review is going to come pretty soon. Having basically double the power lets you shoot the flash unit not at full power all the time, or gets you more power when you actually need it. And this flash is pretty good already at recharging time, because when you're shooting full power, it takes less than 2 seconds, 1.6 or 1.7 seconds to be ready to shoot. Let me show you. See? But the moment you go less than full power, the moment you go at half power, this is the recharge time. See? It's already super fast. If let's say you go at 1/4 of the power, a quarter of the power, it becomes already immediate. You don't have to wait for anything. So a flash unit that is very powerful gets you super fast recharge time. And that, if you're shooting an event, if you're shooting something that requires speed, may make a real difference. And so that's why I believe this unit is super important to have as a professional, because it gets you all the flexibility in the world. It comes with a removable battery that gets charged via USB-C. It is marketed as 400 full power shots. I would say this is very conservative. I never gotten this flash to die on me. I never got even close to that point, even using it pretty heavily and pretty constantly. So a very reliable unit, a very powerful unit that gets you through a shooting without any problem. Among the things that I like is the round head. For me, this round head that Godox came up with is super nice. I like the light that I get out of the round head more than the light that I get out of the rectangular head. It may be small differences, but I do prefer that. The other thing that you have is that your pilot light is, your modeling light is on the main head. Is not coming from, sometimes some flashes you have the modeling head here. The reason why it's very important that it's in here is that this gets you, if you're using a flash pointed like this, it gets you an idea of the real light that you're using, while if you're pointing the flash like this, but the modeling light is coming from here, you're not going to have any modeling light. On top of that, what I do, and you can set different powers to the modeling light. It can get pretty bright or very dim, depending on what you need. What I also do is that I use this modeling light as my autofocus assist rather than the autofocus assist that you can get with the grid, the red grid. I prefer this one for a couple of reasons. I usually use this one when I'm shooting dance floors, stuff like that. This let people know that I'm about to shoot them, and usually they go crazy when you do it. And it helps the autofocus to focus even better than the grid that comes out of this. To me, this is a very nice way of using it. I've been doing this for a long time, and I will never go back. It's just a spectacular way of helping your camera to autofocus. Let me shut the modeling light off. It goes on and on forever. It doesn't chew that much battery out of your system. The other thing that you get is this little additional flash that you have here. It's removable. If you don't need it, if you don't like it, you can remove it and have a little bit of a smaller footprint. But I do like it a lot because if you're shooting and you're bouncing your flash, this gets you a little bit of a fill in towards where you're shooting, and it helps getting you a little bit of a better light. I don't use it all the time, but when I do, I like the light that I get out of it. So again, very flexible unit that, of course, like all the Godox units, it can be your transmitter, it can be a receiver, it can be off-camera flash, it can be on-camera flash. Now, with a flash this size, you can tell it's not a small flash. It's a pretty big unit. I don't think you will ever use a flash like this as a remote transmitter. I would probably use a smaller flash if I have to waste one flash, I would use a smaller one that I have rather than the most powerful that I have to use it as a remote. But if you're using remote flash, you better buy a trigger. I use the X3 and the X3 Pro, depending on the system that I have, and those work super great. Speaking of that, I have never missed a shot. When using it remote, the communication works perfectly fine. One of the reasons why I swapped my V1 Pro together with the A100 for this one is that the touchscreen interface makes, in my opinion, a lot of a difference. It's so much more easy to use. It's easier to understand. You can get to everything that you want pretty quickly, and you don't have to spend time fiddling with buttons and stuff like that. Everything is at your fingertip, and you can basically set everything that you want in a way that is super easy. The screen is really big, so you don't miss information. You don't have to dig for information. Everything is in there. You can move your flash head ahead and backwards, depending on the lens that you're using. If you want to do it manually, it can do it automatically, and it does gets you the flexibility that you want, and it's super easy to get to all the functions that you need. I'm not going to spend an hour explaining each and every function of this flash. There's plenty of videos around for that. So as you can tell, this flash does everything you can possibly ask. You're seeing me shooting it on the outside. I've been using this flash for ceremony. I've been using this flash for every possible scenario that you can think of. I've never used it with high-speed sync. This is capable of doing high-speed sync either off camera or on camera. I don't use that function that much. If you don't know what high-speed sync is, basically it allows your camera to shoot at a faster shutter speed compared to the sync shutter speed that you have on your cameras. In my cameras is 1 or 200 of a second. If you want to shoot faster than that, you use high-speed sync. Of course, that cuts the power of the flash because it has to work around those limitations. And again, a flash this powerful helps you having enough power even if you're shooting high-speed sync. So all in all, this flash does everything you can possibly ask, and I've been using it as my main light on the outside when I'm backlighting my subject with the sun, like you're seeing in these photos over here. I've been using it to be my main light even shooting outside with a big softbox, 65 centimeter softbox, and it works really, really, really well. I basically have nothing to complain about this flash. Now, when it comes to the price, this is not a cheap unit. It comes at more than $300 if I'm not wrong, and this goes into AD200 territories. But while the AD200 is double the power of this, and so as a remote unit is probably a better unit, with this one, you get a very powerful unit that can get you both. It can get you on camera and can also work as your off-camera flash. So unless you know for a fact you will never use on-camera flash, before purchasing more powerful units, I would rather go with this one. And like me, having probably a couple of those, one to be the backup of the other, or one to be used mostly as a remote unit than the other one, because you have plenty of flexibility. Now, of course, if you start needing more power, you need to go to 300, 400, 600 watts. Godox offers other units. Those are more expensive, bigger, and they only work as remote units, but they get you the power that you need. So right now you have, within the Godox line, you have all the flexibility that you want. I would probably not recommend the V100 for a beginner. If you're just dipping your toe into flash photography, the one that I would recommend is the V1 Mid that you see over here. We're going to talk about this flash in another video very soon. This comes at basically half the price of the V100. It gets you the round head, which is really important to me, and it's smaller and easier to bring around. So I still consider the V100 to be the professional's choice. If you're a professional, if you're shooting a lot of flash, the V100 is the unit I would go towards. But if you're a beginner, just get the smaller one, understand what you need for a flash, and then you can eventually upgrade to something like the V100. For me, the V100 is just phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal flash unit, and I have never felt like this unit got in the way of what I was doing. What you need with your equipment, especially if it's equipment like this, is not a lens that has got its character so you can work around its flaws. When it's equipment like flashes, you just want them to work, you want them to be reliable, you want them to be powerful, and you want them to be basically not getting in the way. And this unit does all of that. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this flash? If you have it, if you have other flash units that you prefer, if you're one of those guys that still prefer the, not the proprietary batteries, but the old AA batteries, if you're like that, let me tell you, you're wrong. You gotta try one of these and you will understand why. Again, I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious about what you guys think about the potential of a flash like this and what you guys do with your flashes for yourself. That was it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it goes a long way in helping this channel to grow. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.